Welcome back to What the Flick. I'm Matt, that's Christy, that's Alonso, and that has been latest news out of Netflix. They are not going to show any of their movies, or they've threatened to, at Cannes.
This is so dumb. It's so counterintuitive to them both. Like they need each other, it seems, you know?
Well, I mean, they're both big players right now, and so it just seems kind of spiteful. We had a conversation last week about how, yes, Netflix does have, they're different from Amazon in terms of being not particularly committed to theatrical presentation, and apparently, like, Cannes has some rule about
it has to open in theatrical.
Right, but it's even longer than it does here. Like here, Netflix can play a movie for a week and they can qualify for Oscars. But for Cannes, it would have to be longer in theaters in France. I don't know, some whatever. It seems now that we're getting into cutting off your nose to spite your face territory, because if they're not going to let Netflix films at Cannes, what they're going to pull the new Alfonso Cuarón, the new Paul Greengrass, the new Jeremy Saulnier, the new Morgan Neville documentary, and the Orson Welles' restored Other Side of the Wind. These are all Netflix projects that would have most likely have screened in or out of competition at Cannes.
So something like Mudbound, for example,
yes,
or like Marowitz stories. Did they not play?
No, Oakjaw played in competition.
Yeah, right.
But then they didn't. We're not doing that anymore. Cannes said we're going to you have to actually open a movie there's a rule at how many theaters and how much it has to be in theaters in France. It's
longer than the token U.S.
Right. In the U.S. to qualify for Oscar contention, you got to be open for a week or so in L.A. and New York, and that's about it. And look, that's probably going to change too. But for Netflix and for Cannes, they've just implemented a new rule that says it has to be open in France for a certain period of time and presumably a certain amount of theaters, which Netflix is not going to do because it would make them a film distributor. And so
it's funny, Amazon does it.
Amazon plays films theatrically first.
Plays films. I mean, they're more apt to do it. I don't know whether. So this. I don't know the membership of the Cannes board, but I'm going to guess it looks a little like the Academy membership, right?
Crusty.
So I imagine that this is older white dudes, and I don't mean that pejoratively. As a member of that cabinet.
You're being descriptive.
But I imagine it's that, it's what we're seeing everywhere, and I don't mean from a racial point of view, but just with a generational of these changes are happening too fast. What we do, movies are meant to be seen in theaters. This is what we came up with. This is what we like. This is what we're holding on to, right? And that's understandable. So they're grasping at this. I imagine because of the sheer size and power that Netflix has and Cannes' overwhelming desire to stay relevant, which they've managed to do for whatever it is, 50 years, 60 years, that there'll be some accord reached because it's too beneficial to both of them. But this feels like we're not going to be bossed around by kids on our phones.
Right.
Well, when they say they're pulling these movies, though, are they just saying, like, okay, we want to compete, but we're not going to screen them? Like, is there
they might screen them out of competition.
Well, no. Cannes wants them to show stuff out of competition, and Netflix is saying, screw you, we're taking our ball and going home.
Right. Oh, we can't compete, then we're not showing it at all.
Exactly.
Right. So but significantly, if you were,
which I think is bad for Netflix and bad for Cannes.
It's dumb.
If you're looking, if this were about a manager and a baseball team, both of them are not saying that they're done, which means they'll make a deal, right?
But Cannes coming soon. It's like in a month, right?
Yeah,
and they're announcing really soon.
My guess is that there'll be some sort of deal, which is you can screen 3 movies in competition, and the others will be out, and then we'll worry about it next year.
Right. This is some. I think that this news breaking is, or this threat, right?
Right. The threat is. They put the story out there.
They're announcing the lineup on Thursday.
Right, so
this will be resolved real soon.
But we know, like going forward, like this is Netflix is not going to change its business model to suit Cannes, right?
Probably not.
That seems unlikely. So sometime in the next couple of years, this will get worked out. It has to. It simply must.
I mean, and the argument that people are saying, like, oh, well, why can't they just, compete for Emmys because this is, they're really making television. But I think that streaming is, it's a different platform than television that is, I think, more closely related to theatrical. It's just the delivery system is in your television, but I think these are movies and they are they are theatrical movies.
If it's a self-contained 2-hour thing that's not a bunch of episodes, then it's a movie, right? It sounds like pretty basic, right?
Well, I mean, they make movies for television,
yeah,
but
you know. What this is a different kind of an Alfonso Cuarón movie, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be seen on a giant screen, but also if you can see it on your TV, then why the hell not? Can I say hell?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah,
what you can't say is TV.
I think it's this weird, almost. It's such a function of how the exhibition business has so screwed the artists that make movies, right? Because we end up, at least in the States, and you saw this internationally too, with these multiplexes, and everybody wants the big dumb movie that can play on 8,000 screens, and the movies that benefit from being on a big screen, that even the dramas that do, aren't getting funded anymore. Netflix and Amazon are kind of the last people with any money to actually fund the movies that we previously, or at least for the last 20 years, weren't getting from the studios. But you've got these people that, it's just this weird kind of tone-deaf reaction, I think, on behalf of the organizers of the Cannes Film Fest. Like, oh, it's on a small screen. Sure, but you can get a big screen at home. People's home systems are approaching the theatrical experience.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a 4K system at home,
yeah,
and you've got a 4K disc, that's pretty much like comparable to going to being in like House 8 at the 8plex.
Yeah, it is, but most people we're still a long way from most people having that.
I guess, but I just think that that's where we're going. And I mean, yes, I love the theatrical experience. I'm all about it. I in no way want to trade that in, but I think that to pretend that what Netflix is doing isn't movies, it just seems short-sighted.
So you have been to Cannes.
I've never been to Cannes.
I thought you had been to Cannes.
No, have you?
No.
All right.
I'm not.
But real quick, speaking of companies with stupid amounts of money, $250 million for Lord of the Rings from Amazon?
I don't understand this.
That's a lot, right? Like we already got.
It's going to be $1 billion by the time they're done, because that's $250 million for the rights. They still got to make the
right,
series.
they still got to make it, and it's not Lord of the Rings so much as it's just, hey, we're going to make stuff in the Tolkien universe.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, but then they've also now the latest details are, well, we might use bits of the movies or bits of things that we've done before.
But Jeff Bezos, what was his line? He said, to Ray Price, like, get me the next Game of Thrones. And so that's what led to this. They barely won it. I mean, they outbid Netflix for it. So, I mean, it was not like they weren't competing against nobody. So, and they'll probably be good, right? I mean, that's.
Will you actually watch them though? Will you watch them?
No, I don't watch anything that.
I don't like any.
You don't like elves?
I don't like Mordor.
Okay.